The Melania documentary was a disaster for those who don't reside in the conservative bubble of Trump world whimsy. The movie was not screened for critics, and the trickle of reviews has revealed an early contender for the worst film of 2026. The advertising campaign led many to deface and vandalize the movie's many posters that graced bus stops. Following a wide release in thousands of theaters, a limp box office opening, abysmal reviews, and a streaming date likely to hit sooner rather than later, everything about Melania makes it seem like a terrible movie that shouldn't have been distributed to cinemas, let alone made. But Melania was not made to be a critical darling, accolade winner, or audience pleaser, especially in the current political climate. It's not a movie. It's a bargaining chip. So how did this movie come about? Well, after enough conservatives patted Melania Trump on the head for her 2024 memoir, she decided to make a documentary about her time leading up to Trump's second inauguration. And who would be interested in such a movie? It doesn't matter. Melania wanted to make that movie happen, and there were plenty of sycophants tripping over themselves for a chance to prove themselves to the wife of the Republican God Emperor. Amazon MGM Studios did not pay a ridiculous amount of money for the rights to this documentary because they thought it would be a big earner. Amazon needs to get on Trump's good side so that it can keep making more money and bend more laws to get more dough. And tossing a mere $40 million at this production and $35 million for the marketing is a relatively cheap way to earn brownie points. Director Ratner wasn't chosen because he's an exceptional filmmaker, considering his filmography consists of the Rush Hour movies and X-Men: The Last Stand.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Brett Ratner sexually harassed multiple women, leading to Warner Brothers severing ties with him in 2017. He was also recently revealed to be hanging out with notorious sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. So Brett Ratner is a disgrace, and he's hoping that sucking up to Trump will allow him to be pardoned for his crimes. And also so he can probably make Rush Hour 4. Brett Ratner needs that political association to salvage his name and career, unlike the many crew members who wanted their names removed from this movie. And on the off chance that Ratner decided to be more critical, Melania herself took part in everything from the editing to the color correction. And I like to imagine that Melania chose the last duty because she was so terrified that her husband's scenes would be given the wrong hue of orange. Everything about this film was to placate Donald Trump and Melania Trump, appealing to their egos with as much honesty as handing over an award that they never earned. The Melania movie was never going to be a box office smash, even if this woman were not associated with the most vile president in American history. Documentaries are guaranteed to be a box office bomb if you're spending more than $10 million on them. For reference, the top performing documentary of last year was Becoming Led Zeppelin, which grossed $16 million. And I bring this up because a claim to fame that the Melania movie marketing team might make is that it was the top performing documentary of 2026. While I have no doubt it will be, that's not much praise for a film genre that rarely exceeds past $20 million at the box office. So spending over $40 million on a documentary that is guaranteed not to recoup its costs is an idiotic move. It only makes sense to blow millions of dollars on a film that is never going to turn a profit if you're that passionate about the subject. Or you just want to bribe your subject to give you more business incentives. Melania would have its theatrical debut at the White House with the richest guests in attendance from A to Z, with A being Apple CEO Tim Cook and Z being Zoom CEO Eric Yuan. The screening would have been held in the White House's in-house theater, but since that no longer exists after Trump's demolition of the East Wing, a theater was hastily assembled for this event. That venue for the premiere feels very fitting, given that Trump's world doesn't have a White House theater and instead has to invent one to make Melania's movie seem more like a big event instead of just being a gathering of rich dorks congratulating themselves on a very expensive home movie. Now, a bigger premiere was held a few days later at the Kennedy Center, a venue that several performers have refused to play at under Trump's rule. The premiere was said to be rather annoying for the few patrons attending the center that evening who were not there for the movie, but to hear a Brahms concert. A small number of audience members admitted that if they had known that there was going to be a Melania movie premiere that night, they wouldn't have even bothered coming. With the Kennedy Center now a sad venue ruined by Melania's egotism, Donald Trump would shut down the Performing Arts Center for 2 years. Closing the building before Melania's debut weekend was even over. And in case you're wondering, no, I have not watched the Melania movie, as it was not offered to critics for review. And while not providing critic screeners is not all that uncommon, nor does it mean a movie will be bad if a distributor does this, it is telling how much faith that the studios have in Melania. So I didn't see it, and neither did thousands of others who can't help but voice their 2 cents about an unappealing documentary, a genre that wasn't very popular to begin with. Your initial reaction to the many advertisements that graced television and bus stops was probably, who would want to watch that? And you've probably said the same thing with any number of movie advertisements for remakes and sequels that looked unappealing, where you ask yourself, why were these movies made? And the short answer is usually that these movies were made for easy money. Melania was also made for money, but not that money. Amazon and Ratner are not going to make a profit in real money, but they will make millions in Trump World Fund dollars that can be exchanged at the ticket counter for labor violations being overlooked, sex crimes being absolved, and unwarranted movie sequels being backed. So if Brett Ratner somehow manages to direct Rush Hour 4, you'll know why.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Here we go again. Here we go again.
The words